to them, certainly admits that the nation has many such problems, that it cannot afford to ignore them, and that the public sector can and should help to resolve them. Just as our colonial ancestors viewed their villages and towns as communities, I wrote, he cries out for the government again to become an instrument for the improvement of its citizens' lives, especially by providing at least a minimal level of social welfare for all of its inhabitants. Again, I proved to be in error. Indeed, as listeners already may know, or will discover from hearing the new last chapter of this book, the title of which I changed from Toward a New Domestic Order to Looking Forward or Backward, just the opposite occurred. Thanks to what is referred to as the Welfare Reform Act of 1996, signed into law by Clinton just prior to the upcoming presidential election over the protests of a number of concerned citizens, the entitlement to welfare, put into place in America some 60 years ago in the midst of the Great Depression, if not earlier, during the colonial period, has been removed and replaced by the work or starve mentality of an earlier time. As that measure indicates, social and economic justice is not at the top of the public agenda today. Most Americans no longer wish to entrust government with the power and the responsibility to help their needy fellows. Unlike Herbert Gans and a handful of other brave scholars who continue to debunk stereotypes about the poor and deplore the fact that some misguided concepts, especially that of the underclass, have become weapons in the current war against the poor, most Americans once again blame the victim and eschew collective, as opposed to individualistic, solutions to the nation's social and economic problems. They certainly do not wish to see their tax dollars used for welfare. And by attacking the welfare system rather than the poverty problem, they have achieved their aims. And while the results of these developments are not yet clear, critics predict that more than 2.5 million citizens, including 1.2 million children, will be thrown into poverty as a result of the change. For reasons discussed in the last chapter of the book, I fear they are correct, although, of course, I hope they are not. In any event, in addition to the changes alluded to previously, I worked hard to revise the text in numerous other ways in order to clarify certain points, as needed, to update some interpretations where appropriate, and to include new information where useful. Rather than spell out all those changes, I especially call the listener's attention to the chapters Child Welfare, where I inserted a good deal of additional material on recent developments in that field, and War on the Welfare State, where I added quite a bit of material on matters of race, especially the publication of Charles Murray and Richard Herrnstein's The Bell Curve, 1994, and its implications for social welfare policy. Also, as in the past, I have revised and updated the bibliographies at the end of all of the chapters. WIT, April 1998. Chapter 1. The Background. The basic tenets and programs of any social welfare system reflect the values of the society in which the system functions. Like all other social institutions, social welfare systems do not arise in a vacuum. They stem from the customs, statutes, and practices of the past. Therefore, one cannot understand current efforts to help the needy without first comprehending the foundations on which they were built. And since the practice of assisting people in need, as we know it in America, did not originate in this country, but was transplanted from the Old World to the New during the colonial period, we must go back in time, perhaps even to antiquity, to begin our study of American social welfare. Hospitality to strangers, for example, was recognized as a virtue even among primitive peoples. Hammurabi, the famed ruler of Babylonia, some 2,000 years before Christ, made the protection of widows and orphans, and the weak against the strong, an essential part of his code. Buddhism, founded about 400 BC, taught that all other forms of righteousness are not worth the 16th part of the emancipation of the heart through love and charity. The ancient Greeks and Romans frequently discussed the matter.